Welcome everybody back to the 2022 Baldies Deliberations. If this is your first time, unlike some of these other award shows we could mention, we're transparent. We'll tell you why things are rated the way they are. Nothing's anonymous. We'll have a vigorous debate. We'll display our shocking ignorance and incredibly poor taste. Everything right there, wearing it on our sleeve.
No entry
Jim, are you
fees
ready?
though. No, you don't have to. You don't have to apply for this. It's just something you get.
Very, very low amount of politics. Yeah. Let's get into it. We're going to start with a big category. We're going to take down the two biggest categories. Maybe we'll get through them both today. Best dramas and best comedy. Who boy, the state of prestige television. It's not great. It's not great.
As you can probably see by this list, right?
Wait a second. I just remembered another one. It's not great. We have been in what we consider a historic prestige drought. And unfortunately the prestige people, the TV that people are watching, your Mayor of Easttown, your Succession is not prestige television that we're into. So this is not going to be the juggernaut powerhouse category that it once was. Fuck it. Let's go through and start ranking this stuff. We're going to do a real rough ranking at first, and then we're going to come back and maybe have a better considered one. Foundation season 1.
To the top.
Loved it. It's at the top. Let's keep it at the top.
Yeah.
Walking Dead season 11.
Come on, what is this? A joke?
We're not sending it to the bottom, are we though?
No, but we're not sending it to the top. So it's perfect
No.
where it is currently.
For All Mankind, let's say season 2 is eligible. We watched season 1 and 2. What do you think?
To the top.
I say to the top. Yeah.
For All Mankind was awesome.
I agree. WandaVision. I think WandaVision can float. I'm not really interested in sending it to the top nor to the bottom.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Doom Patrol, I kind of almost want to send to the bottom.
Oh yeah, I didn't see this.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide when we should talk about this stuff. I feel like on the rough one, we're just going to like try to quickly and brutally categorize, and we'll have more in-depth discussion as we fine tune the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe I can let it float for now. Mosquito Coast 2021. It's a floater for me.
Yeah, I actively dislike this show, but if it were me, I'd send it to the bottom. Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Wow. Okay, you actually saw more of it than me. I only saw the first 2 episodes.
Okay, I think I only saw 3, and I would bottom this thing.
We sent that thing to the bottom. All right, Mayor of Easttown. I'm fine with letting this float. I watched every bit of this. This would be a disappointing season of True Detective.
Oh boy. Okay.
This would be
the season 2 of True Detective.
I think even worse. This is True Detective season 2 with a slightly dumber plot, slightly more recycled plot, and funny accents. If Mayor was from L.A. or Indianapolis, Indiana, or Chicago, nobody would give a shit about this show. It's floating.
Okay.
Falcon and Winter Soldier, another float. This show was fine. I didn't feel rewarded for my 6 hours, but it was fine.
I didn't feel rewarded for my 1 hour, so
you didn't even watch it.
I watched the first episode. Loki was
top?
pretty good. I mean, it's better than any of the 4 above it, probably.
That's what I'm saying. Let's send it to the top, so we'll make it interesting. Gosh, I got to figure out a way to not send my document to the top. Again, we're not saying Loki's the best show. We're just trying to we're bubble sorting. If you're a programmer, what if was much better than the Winter Soldier and Doom Patrol and WandaVision? That's a debate. Let's put it there for now. I moved it up, but not all the way to the top. I cheated a bit. Shadow and Bone, Uh, to the fucking bottom. This was garbage, young adult fantasy. I successfully watched it, and I got sucked into it. And
Gotcha.
who is the douchebag from Westworld? I know there's a bunch, but the son of Jim Delios.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know his name.
He is the kind of Darth Vader of this series.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, I don't know. I mean, I think that's a problem if you're this guy's your Darth Vader. That's a thesis level, like, first paragraph problem you have.
He and Andrew Garfield are totally interchangeable for me. Like, their faces, their mannerisms, everything.
And the Garfield is the light Jedi version to the other guy's Sith, I think, in terms of like the roles they. But yeah. They're the same particle, just differently charged.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not a huge Andrew Garfield fan, so yeah.
Jim, I've only seen 2, maybe 3 episodes of Squid Game.
What?
So I never went around and finished it. So I'm gonna tell me.
I watched the whole thing. I'd say throw it to the top. I don't know that it's gonna stay there, but for now, it's Bulbasaur. That's good.
To the top, Squid Game dethroned Loki in the early goings. Okay, Midnight Mass. I would say it's a to the topper. Did you see this?
No.
Okay, well, I'm gonna send it to the top. It's the weakest top that we've ever had, but oh boy, here Bebop, dude. What are we doing?
Floater?
Bebop?
I think it's a floater.
Yeah, but it's gonna rise. It's got a lot more float to it out here. The Expanse.
Sure. To the top. Come on.
To the top.
Whose list would this be if the Expanse didn't go to the top, at least temporarily?
Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, it's a floater at best. Yeah, I almost want to sink it.
That would be the meme, but it doesn't deserve that.
Yeah. It kind of deserves it, but it'll not make the top 10. I don't know about this. Christmas Hawkeye?
Hawkeye would probably be a floater, but goddamn, it did hit the Christmas spot. It's a really good. If you missed this on its first year, it's a really fun Christmas caper. It's about 6 hours. It's still, because it's a fucking Marvel production, has an hour of tie-in to the kind of dead on arrival Black Widow project that doesn't work. It works on one level, but the thing where it's trying to do the thing that Marvel wants it to do, it just doesn't work. And kind of, but like, I guess we'll float it, and but I think it'll rise. It might even make top 10. I don't know. Yellow Jackets.
I think this goes late to the arrival. Top. Yeah, this was late in the year, but
this is eligible for the 2022 Baldies, even though I didn't see it until 2022. Mm-hmm. I'm not even sure if we're calling this right. Is we're right to refer this as the 2022 Baldies, right?
It is, yeah. Previous year. And it covers the 2021 year.
It's like Madden. Or Windows. Or
when Windows like buying a car
came out. Yeah.
Yeah, the new model is always the 2021, 22 model.
Right. Witcher Season 2, floater. This was a shocking stumble out the second year gate for this series. I had a lot of high hopes for. We'll talk about it. Season 2 of The Great. This is a Aaron solo project. I'm sending it to the top, though.
Huzzah
indeed. Okay, so now we've got to the bottom, the bottom feeders. All right,
that's it. Now let's do this. The list is done. 100% done.
Season 2 of the Great. I know you haven't seen this show, but it did an amazing thing where season 1 was all about taking Nicholas Hoult, who is a pretty charming guy, and turning him into this the worst sort of bastard. He plays one of the czars, Peter the Second in Russia, and he's married Catherine, who will be gone. This German princess who will go on to be known as the Great. And she is like plucked from Enlightenment, mid-Enlightenment Europe, and lands in fucking Russia, where everything's just bad all the time. That's like the one sentence Guide to Russian History is, and then things got worse. And he's just a shit. He's like King Joffrey, except for he's well established and entrenched. Joffrey's always precarious. There's a whole war being fought for his third. He's like there and established, and he's just the worst, man. He's a rapist. He's a murderer. He cucks his best friend just cause. He's a non-serious leader. He essentially lets the powerful lords do whatever the hell they want, and the military generals throw lives away for vainglorious wars, and for the Orthodox Greek church, is it the Orthodox Catholic or Greek church, whatever church, to run roughshod over the people. And like Catherine tries to stop that, and it puts him in, and the climax of season 1 is her violently deposing her husband as leader. So you think he's going to be dead or in exile in season 2, and season 2 is all about like unpacking why he is the way he is, like what his terrible his father was, how his mother died young. He's grown up with her mummified corpse in his bedroom.
Wow.
There's all this fun, and I don't know. It's like one of those things where like you're kind of rooting for him to change and become a better person, or at least good enough that he can like get back into the good graces of Catherine. And I couldn't fucking believe it. Like it's exactly like if going into season 3 of Game of Thrones, halfway through you're like, you know what? Sansa really should ease up on Joffrey. Maybe reconsider her. It's wild how they've able to turn that corner. The show is still extremely funny. There's a great, like, I think 3-episode guest starring appearance of Gillian Anderson being the mother of Catherine the Great, and she's just spectacular. It's a great show, and it's a lot of fun. I don't know, but I don't feel like hardly anybody watches it. You haven't seen it. And it is just right up my, like, I just love these historical fictions, like these lightly or maybe heavily fictionalized account, because like it used to, the title card in the last season used to be like the great, mostly true story. And as the seasons have gone on, like by the end of it, it says the great, mostly made up story. So let's say it's like mostly untrue or occasionally true stories. So they're getting further and further from the actual historical goings on of the court of Russia. Man, it just looks great, and it's super fun. So that's my review of The Great season 2.
Gotcha. All I know of it is the memes. So
yeah, Cess is working on a Huzzah compilation.
Nice.
I know she's been really busy, but it's something she still wants to do. But we'll see.
There's an egregious oversight in this list. One that we definitely talked about and definitely needs to be on here is Station 11.
Oh Jesus! How did we see this? Is
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, hold on a second. Why isn't this working? Oh my God! It just didn't make the transfer or whatever. Because did we not talk about that until January though? That's what it is. When we were going back,
right? But it doesn't matter. Like Yellow Jackets, it should be in there.
Station 11 for sure.
Because we watched it.
And it would have gotten to the top. So let's consider its place here.
Right.
I think it's certainly better than The Great. And just in terms of prestige television.
Sure.
Do we want to talk? I mean, we just got done talking about Station 11. I guess that was only for the OTC people, the premium listeners.
I mean, we talked a little bit about it. Like, it's a post-apocalyptic show. There's a virus of some kind of flu or something that wipes out like 80%, 98%.
No,
it's a huge number.
99.9.
Yeah,
1 out of 1,000 people survive.
Almost everyone. And the story takes place both during and immediately after the outbreak, and also 20 years later, I think.
Yep.
And you're kind of following a lot of the same characters throughout the show. And I thought it was really compelling. I think the acting is really good. I was really enjoying the story. And yeah, I mean, when people compare it to like The Leftovers, right? I don't think it exactly hits the same notes, but it's dealing with a lot of the same themes, like loss and grief and trauma, all that stuff. And it's kind of an inversion of Leftovers in its main plot, right? Where 98% of the people are still alive in Leftovers. This is the opposite. Right. And I found like the just pure survival stuff pretty compelling too. It was like, okay, how would you deal with something like this, right? There's an episode early on where a character loads up 16 shopping carts full of stuff and then forms a train out of them and takes them through his brother's house. Like, that stuff is interesting to me, kind of fascinating. And they don't dwell on it. It's not the main focus of the show, but it is there. And I appreciated that.
Yeah, I like that stuff too. And everything that Jim says is true. And I think this is a great show. People would be remiss if they didn't compare this to The Leftovers, but unfortunately when you make comparisons of like you kind of infer a comparison to quality, and I will say that people talking about it made both of those comparisons. Like this gives me Leftovers vibe, not in that it's kind of like about how people process loss and grief and some kind of post apocalyptic or supernatural event, but like it's also made me feel all the things and I just categorically deny that the Station 11 is in the league of The Leftovers in terms of that. But on the other hand, Leftovers had 3 seasons to develop its shit, et cetera, et cetera.
I think part of the reason that Station 11 doesn't quite get there is because it's a little more confusing in some of its themes. Like it's more vague about exactly what it's trying to say.
It's very symbolic and almost allegorical.
Yeah. The core conceit of this show is that a comic book has been written and the characters are kind of following some sort of, it's not exactly a destiny, but it's more like they're using that comic as sort of a guiding light for recovering from the apocalypse and all the trauma and all of the like, we have to reestablish society. Like, what does that look like? Right. They're taking examples from this comic book that was written, and I never felt like I got a good grasp on the comic book itself. And so that kind of left me with a lot of questions about how I should be feeling or how this stuff compares to what they're actually doing on screen. I wish I had a little more insight into that. So it left me a little cold there. Whereas Leftovers, I felt like I was tuned in emotionally to the thing the entire time.
Yeah, I think the problem I have with it is that this is almost like an anthology of 4 or 5 different stories with an almost entirely separate casts and characters that intersect briefly on occasion and then kind of like come together at the end. My problem is like only about 2 of those 5 really worked for me in terms of like understanding what their emotional stakes were, what they wanted, what they were gaining, what their arc was. And only one of them just hit on all cylinders.
Yeah.
And that like I found myself, starting to become more aware of the flaws of the show in terms of like its world building and its realism and the fact that like I became more and more aware of I was watching a product of pretty sheltered Hollywood types, multi-generational Hollywood types dealing with their particular trauma of the pandemic and also desperately clinging to the art is so important.
Yeah.
And not just any old art, like fucking King Lear.
I did feel a little bit left out of the club not being familiar with Shakespeare, for sure.
Well, I'm familiar with Shakespeare. It's just like that's an interesting place to take this material, I thought. And also like these guys are trying to write this kind of like down like grounded, rooted Midwestern tale, and they don't have any fucking clue about like what yeah. So that was a kind of that was a big barrier to my enjoyment. The fact that like, I wasn't engaged with about half. Imagine if you watched The Leftovers and like you liked Kevin Garvey, you liked the Garveys, but you didn't like the Murphys. Like, I felt like there was twice as many Murphys as Garveys, and I didn't care for any of them. And only half of the Garveys that I thought was like true. Like, I was Kevin and Nora. I'm loving what they're doing that, but fuck Tommy and Amy. I can't remember her name now.
Yeah, I was more like 80-20 on liking and feeling something for these characters. I definitely thought the Clark character, I engaged more with the Clark character than I think you did, especially early on.
That's an understatement because I just hated him.
I know. So yeah, I mean, it mostly worked for me. It didn't quite get to Leftovers level, and I do question a couple of plot points as well, but maybe we could talk about those later if it comes down to like, hey, this is better than that, and here's why.
I will say that like the acting is fucking phenomenal, and this show has some drop dead gorgeous visuals in the way that prestige television does too. Like it is like some of the post-apocalyptic art and costuming, let's say, was just like bravo the ingenuity.
God, I love the toilet paper roll helmet. It's so good.
Oh, yeah, it's good. It's some good stuff. I think Station 11 can chill at the top for now.
Yeah,
definitely better than the Great.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I liked Yellow Jackets a hell of a lot more. It's not as good. But like, I don't know that Bald Move is all about good, like absolute quality. I had a fucking ball. Watching Yellow Jackets.
And Misty might be my favorite character of the entire year. She was that good.
And the thing is it's kind of like there's definitely some big things I had started to get a bugaboo with the show, but like by the time the finale came, they had resolved so many of those in kind of like a clever and unexpected way that I'm just like, okay, well, the other ones I can probably just let the mystery be for another season, because this is like also one of those gonzo kind of True Detective, what the fuck is going on, type of thing. It's supposed to last like 5 seasons. So
Yellow Jackets was great. I didn't realize when people like were explaining it in terms of like Lord of the Flies, and what is the movie where they crash the plane in the mountains and have to eat each other? Something like that.
The soccer team, Andes Mountains, cannibalism.
And they were describing the show as that plus the soccer team is like a high school girls soccer team. I'm like, okay, this could be interesting because there's a lot of potential drama there, right? That comes with an inherent sort of drama to itself. And then you put them in this life or death situation, and I think the thing that really made me enjoy that show, though, overall, was the character work. Because I think the show premise is one thing, but then if I have to sit for 10 hours with characters, they need to be really good. And I really enjoyed Misty. I thought the stuff that they did with Shauna, is Linsky. What's her name? Linsky. Melanie Linsky. Yeah, she's great. And Nat, I found Nat like a super fascinating character too. Just how she was kind of more haunted by all this stuff than a lot of the other characters, or at least wore on her sleeve more.
Because I think that's the thing that elevates it from Lord of the Flies and the Andes Mountain movie, is that like you get the 25 years later. The fact that these people survived this experience and what exactly, like, that's interesting unto itself, but also like, what are they doing now? How did this impact them in different ways? Like, how did it change them? And you get to explore that with this format. It kind of gave me a lot of dark vibes too, in that you've got this multi-generational story kind of unfolding and like the impacts from one to the other. I thought that was really cool.
And there's some kind of supernatural-ish element going on, or potentially going on. When I first started watching this, I was like very anxious to get to the stuff that happened in the mountains, or in the Pacific Northwest, I think is where they are. I was very like, they show you a glimpse of it up front in the very first scene, and then they go away from that for a while, and you're just kind of left with like, the crash happens and the girls are just trying to survive. But I kept waiting for it to go feral, for it to go like Lord of the Flies. And they really took their time with that. I will say, though, that I wasn't bored during the season. And that's kind of a testament to how good the show is outside of its just initial hook. because a lesser show, I would have definitely gotten like on my watch saying, when the fuck are we going to get to the stuff I came here for?
Sure.
But
it has a very interesting style where it like hits you in the face with something like crazy shocking,
mhm.
and then walks back to like the beginning of like these other storylines. And it like you said, it's a testament to how good the acting is and how good the writing is. And it's also pandering to fuck.
Oh
to
yeah.
Gen X. Like,
totally.
like we like, and I realize that this is going to happen. Like, I can't wait till we have our, I don't know what the next step is. Like the college years probably, and then us getting 30, and then like they're like, where's the nostalgia wave? That when does fucking the millennials take over and I can be left alone again? I feel like the eye of Sauron is on us, Jim.
Yeah.
I don't think Gen X has that long because we were a small generation. No one really gives a fuck, and
we didn't give a fuck,
already pushing us off the stage and be like, get the fuck over, old man.
I mean, these girls are all like 16 in the show. It takes place in '96. I would have been 14 at the time. That's like, man, that's my wheelhouse, especially musically.
Right,
like
I was like 18, 19. Yeah,
the soundtrack of this movie is '90s as fuck. And it's great. I love it.
Extremely 90s. And like in a Riot Girl kind of 90s mostly palette too, which I always
like Mazzy Star
enjoy.
and Cranberries and just, all that shit. It's so good.
So Yellow Jackets, I'm saying goes to the top. Are you going to say Station 11 says no, or?
I say let's throw it to the top and see if it sticks there. Because
the next show, The Expanse, season 6.
All right, there might not have been some amazing prestige this year, but there was some amazing pulp.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, we are watching good television; it just has rocket ships in it.
Right.
I will say that there was a weird Paul costume this season because people knew there was more. It'd be like if we got to Dances with Dragons, the 5th book in the Game of Thrones, and you knew that Martin had gone and written the other 2, and HBO and Martin agreed amicably that no, we'll just stop at book 5. Like, what the fuck? Like, the last time this happened, we called our banners, we got the Screaming Firehawks together, we got Jeff Bezos to open his wallet, and we saved the show, and now they're like, no, don't, it's nothing like that. So it's like this weird kind of like, it felt like to me as a fan, they were winding things up in like a wrapping up kind of way. And I knew that there was a lot more to go. So that hung over everything. But I got to say, if I block that out and just go with what the only thing I know, which is of this story, it felt like a fully complete tale that had a very satisfying conclusion, extremely satisfying and rewarding conclusion, and felt like a natural. The world was still continuing. There were still things that could be addressed in the future, like hooks that you could hang things on. But it felt like the end of the first Matrix. Like, yeah, Neo hangs up the phone and flies in the air like, what the fuck? That would be why. What's going on? But if there was never any more people would be like, that's a great movie. That's how I felt at the end of The Expanse. What did you think?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. We didn't do a spoiler alert, but we've been doing spoiler alerts for all this stuff. So, we'll talk about it. I think the ending of The Expanse. Have we actually
spoiled things? Because I felt like we've been able to not really spoil things. In terms of like ruining people for shows.
No, you're probably right. We haven't gone full spoilers, but we will.
Do you think? Okay,
I'm certain when we're debating the minutia and like all that stuff. Gotcha. Yeah, I think The Expanse season 6 is a really great place to end it. I've read book 7 now, and it was not my favorite book, but it is setting up much bigger stuff. And I think, in retrospect, the Laconia stuff makes more sense because it does open that door, or it opens the window, right? It opens the blinds so you can see that outside there is more, but it doesn't necessarily open the door so you can get to it because it can't, right? It's the final season. I think the way it leaves the main storylines of like the Belters and the Inners and their relationship to each other, it leaves it in a place that feels like a changed relationship. And that's kind of what I was looking for, right? But not in a way that's like pie in the sky, ignore the realities of the situation. More like characters are reluctantly starting to come together on things because they've been hurt. Everybody's been so hurt by everything that's gone on that it just makes more sense to do that than anything else. And yeah, I really, really liked the thesis and the answers they came up with for it. And Laconia stuff, I think once you open that door, there's too much to get through. You need another 2 seasons at least, is my assumption. But yeah, they just wouldn't have had time to do that. So I don't know, like earlier seasons, like season 3 or whatever, leaving some of that alien shit on the table makes a lot of sense. So, and it would have been different if I felt like the season got shortchanged and we didn't have enough time to do everything I wanted them to do, but they did. Mm-hmm. So if they can do that and have the Laconia stuff in there, I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah, I'm like 87% of the way through Babylon's Ashes, the book, and I will say that like I did appreciate the added depth of some of the political intrigue that like Anderson Dawes was engaging in, and like the articulation of the Belter point of view a little bit more, and the breadth of what like it is so much more richer when you have people's interior thoughts, and you can get like the temperature of 20 different Belters across 3 different locations,
Yeah.
But honestly, the only flaw in the series, and I stand by this, maybe I'll change my mind when I read books 7, 8, and 9, but that Laconia business had no business in the season. Get rid of all that, take those 20, 30 minutes and put it into the last 2 episodes, because that's the only place where I did feel like some beats got shortchanged. But yeah, it's they certainly stuck the landing.
Oh yeah. I think they did a better landing in this than they did in that 6th book. As far as the trade union stuff goes.
I'm sorry, because like honestly, that like Medina battle was a mess in the books. It is a fucking mess. And even the way they told the best space bat, like the 180 no scope, let's say that way. In the book, that takes place over 3 chapters where they talk about it from like Bobby and Alex's perspective, and then they rewind it and you get it from James Holden's perspective, and they rewind it and I think you get it from like either Amos or Callista's or Naomi's perspective. And I'm like, that's a fucking amazing 3 or 4 minutes of television.
Yeah.
It was kind of a slog. Like I liked Alex and Bobby's perspective of it. I'm like, oh, great. And then I was like a third of the way through Holden's chapter. I'm like, holy shit, really? Yeah. Oh man. There's a couple things that like they definitely, and I felt like this every book. Like there's some things that books do better. But like I feel like Dan and Ty both had it was a really great opportunity for them to go and tighten some things up, let's say, for the series.
And they've been great.
They become masters at that. Yeah.
And I see now, there's so much was made about Machu Peru, as you call him,
Macho Peru. Yeah.
Michio Pa. After reading book 7, I totally see why they just swapped her for drummer. It makes 100% sense. So yeah, they've been really good with that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed Expanse season 6. I wish it was longer. I wish there was more coming. Yeah. But
I think it would have breathed a little bit. It had like just at 6-hour runtime. I think it would have breathed a little bit better about 7 to 7.5. But
does this go to the top?
I still think it's good enough to go to the fucking top. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Did you see Midnight Mass?
No, I didn't.
Midnight Mass was another show by the guy who did The Haunting of Hill House.
Right.
And it had a lot of insightful things to say about addiction and religion and forgiveness and atonement. Because one of the main characters is a guy who was an alcoholic and he kills a young woman. And how that like haunts him through the series.
Mm-hmm.
And it adds in like there's a couple of hooks I had, like it's a small town on an isolated island in I think one of the Great Lakes.
Right.
And it had like this like like tiny kind of archaic or offshoot brand of Catholicism that's very culty, that reminded, like, is really getting a lot of things that, like, the stuff that, like, ooh, give me the frisson, the hairs on the back of my neck kind of. And then they add a little bit of vampire lore and what that means in terms of, like, some of the sacraments of the church. And it was really kind of crackling. Now, there's some people that really like the monologues on these shows and are on this particular show and were blown away by the, like, long, intense, candlelit speeches into the camera about nature of God and addiction and all those. And I found like half of those were okay. But a lot of it came across as like the opposite of a chick tract. Like, you know, a chick tract will have like the Christian youth freshman going into the evil evolution teaching professor and just embarrass the professor in the front of the entire class, even though the professor's kind of, that's his goal. He's going to make the backwards Rube Christian look good. And I like fucking, I've been on both sides of the audience of that, and it's fucking cringe 360, no matter what angle.
Yeah.
Some of those monologues I thought were like just super long and super obtuse and super self-congratulatory. Like
that's what I hated about Mosquito Coast. That there were every other scene was a giant monologue about us destroying the planet, and I don't know. It was insane. Yeah.
Like the showrunner took just a huge bong rip and stream of consciousness wrote down his observations about the state of the world, and then woke up the next morning and like, you know what? Fucking gold. Yeah. Some of that stuff, I don't know. So I think Midnight Mass is just fine where it's at. It's a great show to watch during spooky time of the year. It does have some, not as many thrills and chills though, because it's more about the psychological shit. For a monster movie, not nearly as scary and as effective as Haunting of Hill House, but it's worth watching for sure. I will see if it cracks the top 10. It's a weak year. Yeah. Squid Game, Jim.
Squid Game. Yeah. So you know the premise of this, right?
I do. They rounded up 100 economically blighted people in Korea and South Korea, and they're doing like nursery room games, like Red Rover type games,
red light, green light, that kind of stuff.
Red light, yeah, that kind of stuff, to win a cash prize. And it's kind of like the long walk. Like it's as people fail, they don't get parting gifts; they get shells in the head. They get their chest blown out by these. The cash prize Sony grows. Goons. Yes.
So. Yeah, I mean, that is the premise, and this is all in service of examining financial injustice specifically in the South Korean society. I'm not super familiar with the problems that they have over there in that regard, but it seems similar to some of the stuff happening here.
Between Parasite and this, I'm getting a picture. Yeah,
for sure. There's some class struggle over there. And it is basically that the whole time. Like, you've got some twists and turns. There's a story about like a cop whose brother was inducted into this thing, and he's like on the island trying to find him throughout the course of this series. And I wasn't super engaged by that, but I was looking for like, okay, what is the thing that's going to make this interesting beyond just the initial hook, which is these people play games, they're life or death. And it's essentially like, I don't know, if Family Feud was a life or death game show, if Deal or No Deal meant you got killed at the end, if you lost. And I don't know. I've been thinking about it because I had a big problem with this at the end when there's a big reveal that I probably need to spoil to properly talk about it. But essentially, there is a character who espouses the philosophy that this sort of thing is necessary for a society. Like, these people either like deserve both the poverty they're in and also the opportunity, a second chance, an opportunity to dig themselves out of this. And this is not actually a bad thing that they've been doing. This is a good thing. And I fucking hated that character in that moment. And I don't think the show forcefully enough rejected that philosophy. So I had a real problem with it when I first watched it. I think I'm mellowing on that. I think I don't know. It's complicated because in my mind, the character does not get the comeuppance he deserves for doing these things.
That might be part of the point.
Yes, and I've considered that. My like I said, my opinion on it is mellowed. It's become more nuanced. I think it's a better show than I gave it credit for because I was pissed off. I didn't want anything to do with this show at the end of it. I was like, God damn it! Like I kind of enjoyed the experience of watching it, but I feel like it's kind of okay where it is. I definitely don't think it deserves to be above Station 11. So if you're going to fight for the Great or Midnight Mass, I would say just leave it.
I might fight for the Great just because like that turned me off too, because like anytime I see something where like both extremely conservative and extremely liberal and progressive people are championing as like espousing their viewpoint, I'm like, well, that's a fucking mess.
Yeah.
And I saw that like, Squid Game was the spike in your face through the growing like, economic freedom / socialist / whatever. And also that Squid Game is a skewering of the capitalist bourgeoisie decadence. Like I'm like, well, both of those things cannot fucking be true. So
right,
and there's idiots on both sides of the political persuasion. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. But
yeah,
I don't know.
I think that it wasn't dealt with firmly enough for a real opinion to emerge, a mass opinion to emerge on it.
Well, then I will say it can't get past this Great because I really like the Great.
Yeah, sure.
What do you mean Loki though? Because I don't think Loki's gonna. I think Loki is better than Midnight Mass. Do you think it's better than Squid Game?
I thought so.
Okay,
yeah,
better than Squid Game.
But that's as high as it gets for me.
It's definitely more odd. I'm gonna give it because like some of the shit that they got up to in terms of the multiverse. Like I think Marvel is doing a very fun version of multiverse and time travel and things. It's not like. What's the show that I'm always comparing stuff? Primer. It's not like Primer. It's not rigorous, but it's fun. It's paradox happy. It's stuff and it. I don't know. I just thought they just did a great job. Like I thought Loki has been a kind of sneaky fan favorite character, and how are they going to do this kind of villainous role as a protagonist? And they just crushed it. The only bad thing I can kind of say about the whole run is that there was some dodgy effects work in like episode 2 or 3, where some of the essentially rear projection technology they were using didn't quite hold together. But yeah, I was really impressed. This is the first Marvel show that thought, these might be worth my time to watch.
Sure.
So
yeah, Loki. I'll stay tuned for season 2 because like I was that into it. I have no interest in like a WandaVision season 2 necessarily.
Right.
But
I think that's going to be Doctor Strange and
yeah,
or whatever. Loki, does it go above Station 11 or is that where it stops?
I don't think so. Yeah.
I don't think I can in good conscience put it above that either.
Okay.
For All Mankind season 2.
Fuck.
Oh boy.
What
better
happened?
Midnight Mass. The space shuttle got nuclear.
Right, there was a moon battle, right?
America and Soviets got 3 minutes from midnight over the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Sally Ride led a mutiny.
Molly, is that her name? Molly. Fucking Molly.
Oh, Molly got glaucoma in the worst kind of way. Oh my God, Tracy and Gomer, not Gomer.
Tracy.
Goomer. Tracy and Goomer, reunited, but it didn't feel so good.
Gordo.
And also Karen,
is that who you're trying to? Okay.
You. Yeah. And fucking Karen lost her goddamn mind.
Yeah.
And polarized the whole goddamn audience. And had us questioning the wisdom of even watching this show. What the shit? It was a hell of a season. It's way better than Midnight Mass.
Oh yeah,
probably better than Squid Game. Better than The Great. Better than Loki. Better than Station 11. Better than Yellow Jackets.
We're getting to. I remember loving this season, but there was a middle section with Karen, which got weird. I will give you that.
I think it's better than The Expanse. That last 2 or 3 episode stretch was fucking. I didn't see how they were going to thread the needle, and my God,
I need to refresh my memory on that.
It's just the war on the moon.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And the second EVA without spacesuits being worn.
Right.
The high stakes brinksmanship between the Pathfinder shuttle and the Russians Buran, like the hostage situation. That all this shit happened this season, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think this was the moon battle season. Yeah, right. Because it flashes forward like 10 years, and we're on the moon with a base. Because I don't think we had the moon base in season 1.
Nope.
Is the race to get there.
It was just like there's so many cool things like the sun rising on the moon.
That solar flare thing.
Solar storm that ravaged the moon. All the effects work is just so fucking rock solid. Gordo, like that's like such a great arc for his character, because I remember this first season, like, oh man, what a fucking pathetic state for this guy to be in, and like, but also
trying to whip himself back into shape mentally,
but also
and
feel
physically.
it, you know. Yeah. Like I understand every step of how he got there and how what traumatized him and all the different things, and just I don't know, man. They do so many good things. I don't know whether some people see it as heavy-handed because they are doing some very progressive things in terms of like racial and sexual equality and orientations. But I feel like they're, they feel real and pretty textured and interesting.
Yeah. I really like the stuff with what's her name? The student the immigrant student.
Karen and Ed's kid?
Yeah.
That they adopted from Vietnam?
Kelly. No. The girl who like is her dad got deported and she was trying to get a job at NASA. God damn it, I can't think of her name. I don't know anybody's name on this. Shit. What is the director? The director's name, or Mission Control. Margot, the one that Margot took under her. Aleda. Aleda or
yes.
Aleda. She has some just fucking fantastic scenes, and she has a lot of trauma herself that she's going through. I loved it.
If you don't know, because For All Mankind is an alternate history. What if the Russians beat us to the moon?
Mm-hmm.
And what if instead of like ramping down the space race just kept on building that and just kept on piling on things of the Cold War, and each season jumps forward about 10 years, which was really exciting at the end of this season.
Is this just
how they keep?
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's just like how they keep continuity between all that stuff is like, I always am fascinated. And I thought the same thing about David Simon's last project, Deuce. It's like, that's such an art to take these big leaps in people's lives, and you come back and like everything is similar enough that you're not lost, but you can definitely tell that characters have continued to grow and evolve in their positions and their maturity and the way they look at things. They've got new parts of their family. It's such a gift of a storyteller to be able to that's to me that's like throwing a 75-yard touchdown. Like, how the hell can some guy on a football field with 11 other guys trying to keep him from doing it throw like a fucking rainbow arc and hit a guy on the numbers? Like, it shouldn't be possible. Throwing a narrative arc 10 years in the future is at least that hard.
Yeah. Is this show just Battlestar Galactica without the president?
It might, and if it is, bravo, because that's
Right?
that's a Battlestar Galactica I don't nope out on after the first season.
Because it's not any less dramatic, and the personal relationships are still very front and center. And you've also got this tension in the sci-fi aspect of it. I think Ronald
There's
Moore
something
has
a
just
bit
kind of
more
perfected
grounded,
his.
though.
I
think
is,
there's
yeah.
something, not having like people be able to resurrect from long, like there's some
Right,
things
and robots
that
that can look like anybody, that kind of deception. Yeah,
exactly. But you still have like some cloak and dagger shit and some geopolitical, like it feels real, and also it feels like it has a lot to say about the modern era and like missed opportunities. Like that's something interesting.
Yes.
I thought in the mid 80s, America has gone to electric powers cars. And like you had this brief period of time where people kind of worship technology and science like a god. When you'd put men on the moon, and like you'd had all these like stunning achievements in terms like in the last 50 years, flight and computers and long distance communication, and like we kind of squandered and lost all that. Like it kind of like makes me somewhat hopeful for the future that like, yeah, if we ever had the political will to do shit, we could probably get it done. It's just we're just too busy fucking around right now. It's a great
busy
show.
Fighting each other on Earth to fight each other on the moon.
Yeah. I think For All Mankind's better than The Expanse, and that's like I might change my mind, but that's where I'm at right now. What do you think? Is it a conversation, or you say
absolutely no? It's absolutely a conversation. Throw it up there at the top for now. If I feel like I want to defend The Expanse, maybe we'll come back to it. But
Foundation season 1, I fucking enjoyed this show. This is a great adaptation of Asimov's Foundation. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
But not all of it, right? It's not.
No,
perfect,
it's not perfect.
But it's better than I would have hoped for with a story of this scope.
The Empire stuff is as good as science fiction that I've ever seen, and the Trantor stuff, the Terminus stuff, is still head and shoulders better than Disco, Picard, or really any other. Other than Expanse, it's like when people say that this is like Cover Your Eyes bad, no, it's not. I've
seen Cover Your Eyes bad.
And it seemed like there was reasons, because we got some decent amount of behind the scenes access to the show. It seems like there was some reasons, and I got a lot of hope that in season 2 that they'll make some adjustments, they'll make it even better. But you just can't find a story told like this anywhere else. This thing is going to span centuries, maybe millennia by the time it's over. It has a genetic dynasty that's ruled the galaxy for 400 years of an empire that's 10,000 years old. It's got a character that's 5 digits years old, it turns out.
It's 3 versions of them.
It's about I'm talking about the robot.
Okay. I was talking about the Empire, but
it's got the coolest form of hyperspace travel I've ever fucking seen. Bar none. It's worth it just for the optics of some of these shows. It's got weird religions and cultures,
political intrigue, akin to Game of Thrones.
It does the things it does really well, really, really well. And I think it's better than Midnight Mass, Suicide Squad, The Great, Loki, Station 11. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a science fiction whore here, I know.
Right, I'm looking at the top of our list.
Because here's the thing, like, I feel like
sci-fi.
It starts to run out of steam.
Yellow Jackets didn't really miss with me ever, is the thing.
That's the thing.
I think some of that Terminus stuff missed occasionally, but not super hard. It didn't whiff. It didn't strike out. It just, maybe had to bunt a time or two. I feel pretty good about that. Man, I do enjoy Station 11, but
I think I enjoyed Foundation much more than Station 11, but I would entertain arguments to the contrary for sure.
Okay, well, let's leave it there. We're just trying to get a top 10.
Pulpier.
I think that'll be fine for a top 10 purpose, because we're back to The Walking Dead, which is currently top 10. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh yeah, what am I doing?
It's currently top 10 for The Walking Dead.
What am I doing? What am I doing here? I should be doing this.
Oh, right. And
okay.
that cannot be.
Okay.
It cannot stand.
No. Wait, hey.
It cannot stand. I will dig.
Mass.
I will dig down to Cowboy Bebop to remove The Walking Dead from this list.
You think Squid Game is better than Walking Dead season 11 for real?
Yes.
For real?
Oh yeah. The first part of season 11, it was season 10, right? What are we talking about?
This is season 11A is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's everything up to the big storm.
Yeah, remember how much fucking problem we had with Maggie's plan? She kept driving ahead even though it was clearly dead and stupid. And everyone was telling her that, and she got a bunch of people killed because she's an idiot who was so single-minded. Yeah. We had a lot lot with Walking Dead season 11A.
All right. There was no monologues the last half an episode, though. Not below Midnight Mass, though.
Okay. Midnight Mass.
What if... Man...
God, here's the thing. I didn't watch a lot of these.
I saw like 4 episodes of What If, and I really liked what they had. And like in particular, if you only watch one of these, I think the Doctor Strange What If. So this is a series that like the famous comic book series that posits the existence of this guy named I think his name's Eru, and he's the Watcher, and he's played by God damn it, the guy from Westworld.
Jimmy Simpson.
No. He was also
Ed Harris.
No, shut up. He's Jeffrey Wright.
Oh, okay.
He's played by Jeffrey Wright, and he's great. And this is an omniscient being that can see across all the multiverse, and he can see like every time something goes different. Like, you know, if you want to know what happens if Captain America, if Peggy, his girlfriend, got the super soldier serum instead of him, there's a What If episode for that. The one I'm talking about is what if Doctor Strange, what if his girlfriend dies, and he spends all of his like he's not his impetus to get into magic is not his own recovery, but to try to uncover a way to turn back time or to bring her back. And how fucked up the timeline gets at his eternal quest to do this. It seems like if you want to enjoy the Doctor Strange multiverse of madness, you would do well to spend 30 to 40 minutes watching that episode, because it seems from the trailer that the villainous aspect of Strange that gets introduced in this is going to break through the multiverse into... Which is, yeah, like I said, that's happened in Spider-Man 2. This multiverse is going to be a thing in this phase of Marvel.
Yeah.
But it's a cartoon show. I feel like it can't even get above Midnight Mass. You know?
The thing I'm scared about as I look down this list is that we simply don't have enough good stuff to push The Walking Dead off. That's my greatest fear. Because I can't, in good conscience, recommend Cowboy Bebop or The Book of Boba Fett over The Walking Dead Season 11.
Let me ask you this. Is WandaVision better than Squid Game? Because I think WandaVision's better than The Walking Dead.
I don't think it's better than Squid Game.
It's a lot closer than a lot of people want to say, but I think WandaVision's better than The Walking Dead.
Still doesn't push it off the list. Yeah. No, I think I could see WandaVision at 9.
Okay.
Boy, that's a shame. The Walking Dead is going to make a top 10.
Here's a shame. Doom Patrol season 1 and 2 were a delight. I really liked it. I was starting to think like, man, DC on television can't be fucking beat. And that was before I saw Peacemaker. Like Harley Quinn, fire. Doom Patrol, like these like B and C tier squads, like you can do a lower budget and really get into the characters and what makes them weird and grungy, and it's good. Season 2 left on a sour note because COVID essentially shut them down. So like they left with you on like the penultimate episode, where it's like the big inciting event. It felt like an old school kind of like Best of Both Worlds. The Borg are powering up and stealing Picard kind of like cliffhanger. Like they don't do those kind of cliffhangers much anymore. So the first 2 episodes were shit hot. Like it's like essentially the finale of last season. and then the denouement, the resolution of the characters that I liked. And then I felt like they didn't know what to do the rest of the season. Like the rest of the season, the team just navel gazed and wallowed. While one character was, I think, traveling through time. And I just didn't like, I kept on thinking like, why the fuck am I watching this and why do I care? When did this show that used to be so much fun and so funny, and there was a couple things that were still pretty gut bustingly funny, when did it get to be so kind of like boring and slow and self-important? It was, the characters are still great. It was still well acted. I still got a kick out of Brendan Fraser voicing this fucking giant robot looking dude. They also didn't have Timothy Dalton. He was like off screen for most of this stuff, and he was like a big part of what made the show work for me. It was a bad season. I hope they can pull it together. I don't know if they've been renewed or not, but it was a step back for Doom Patrol.
That's a shame.
Did you see any? Yeah, I was so looking forward to seeing it, man. Here's how bad I did. I haven't seen the final episode. There's still one episode left, and I just stopped because I got bored with it. Did you see Mayor of Easttown?
No, I didn't watch any of it.
I felt like I already dealt with this with an epic rant.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe gets over WandaVision.
Okay, it could push Walking Dead off the top. Off the top 10.
I think you got. I think you got your Walking Dead. I couldn't in good conscience, and it's probably. I would think it would be better than Squid Game, surely, but like I would know it's not. It's not better than The Great. So
okay.
Falcon and Winter Soldier was just the default setting for television. It is. It's not as good as Mare. I didn't think it's as fun as The Walking Dead. It's probably not better than Midnight Mass. It's probably not even better than What If. It's like there, barely better than Doom Patrol. Cowboy Bebop, okay. Where's Cowboy Bebop's level?
I kind of liked Cowboy Bebop.
I liked it better than WandaVision.
I liked it better than Book of Boba Fett.
And I'm the weirdo that I loved the first 2 episodes of WandaVision. I liked it less and less each week after that when it got to be more of a normal show, and I think everybody else is the reverse.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah,
I found WandaVision very tedious the last 2 episodes.
I mean, Cowboy Bebop hung together a lot better than The Walking Dead season 11, I thought.
It was best when it was just doing kind of fucking around episode of the week stuff. I didn't really like its overall arc, and I felt the same way about the anime. So,
yeah,
like the vicious character, I thought was ridiculous. But what do you think? I like it better than WandaVision, but I couldn't put it above The Great. So, do you put it above Squid Game?
No. Do
you put it above WandaVision?
Boy, WandaVision was not feeling the early goings, and I liked it more as it went on, as we got away from the sitcom stuff.
I'm shocked. Cowboy Bebop can't get past WandaVision.
Yeah,
that's probably right. I'm probably being a little too hasty.
I mean, the real battle there is between whatever's 10 and 11, right?
Yeah.
Because something is going to make the list and something won't.
Yeah. Boy, we're getting to the dregs, though. Book of Boba Fett. Yikes.
No. I don't even care to consider it for top 10.
This is at a 2 out of 5 star. I liked it better than Doom Patrol and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That's damned at faint praise. And only because a certain dude showed up and kind of saved the season.
Yeah, so, no, I didn't care for Book of Boba Fett. In fact, I'm not interested in a season 2, and it kind of, that combined with the bait and switch of Mandalorian has sort of made me not interested in a lot of the Disney Star Wars stuff going forward until they reprove themselves to me.
I think it's fair to be like, you know what, I'm going to wait and see because you fuckers
even on Obi-Wan. Like something I was a lock to watch earlier. I'm kind of gonna wait and see on that.
It's no longer going to be a day one cover.
Yeah.
And I'm really intrigued by what I've heard about the Rogue One prequel or sequel, because I think Rogue One is among the most successful of. I know you didn't care much for it, but I really like that Tom Clancy Star Wars type of shit.
Gotcha.
And it was fairly dark for Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
Hawkeye beats the shit out. It might make the top 10. Yep. I mean, I don't know. You haven't seen it, dude. What do I want to do here?
I mean, I have no super big affinity for Cowboy Bebop, so if you think it's better, go for it.
Sure, it's more fun. I think it's better than WandaVision. Can I do that, or you say I don't know?
I haven't seen it. Yeah, I'd say go for it if you think.
Okay, yeah, all right. Hawkeye better than WandaVision. Witcher season 2. Boy, this is another one where it felt like they had a really strong idea of what they wanted season 1 to be. This felt like season 2 of Mr. Robot, and that season 1 was immaculate. They knew what story they wanted to tell, but there was kind of like a mismatch between. They weren't ready to get to its final form, but they needed to have a half season, and no one will greenlight a half season. So they did a half season and stretched out to a full season. This is what The Witcher felt like. It had bigger monster battles, but much fewer frequently. So there was many episodes where like there was not much Witcher pizzazz going. Almost no sex appeal in this season, I felt like. And I'm looking for that in The Witcher. Hell yeah, I am.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is a disappointment, but it's probably better than the Book of Boba Fett.
Okay. I kind of want to say the same thing about Mosquito Coast. It's better than Book of Boba Fett, but not by much.
Is it? Because
I thought so.
Boy. All right, that's fine. And then Shadow and Bone just you just suck.
Something had to be last. So yeah, we're really only gonna talk about the top 10 in more depth and debate that stuff on the reveal.
We gotta make sure on the ceremony. We gotta make sure. Do we want to argue? Are you saying we need to argue more? Because like I think For All Mankind over Expanse is controversial.
I do too, and we will need to argue more over it. Is that something we need to do now? I don't even know.
Here's the other thing I'm worried about. Foundation is a strong cup of peculiar tea. Mm-hmm. I think we might face a backlash putting it like we're going to raise a lot of eyebrows putting this at 4th, and a lot of people are going to watch it. And like if you're not fully engaged by the sci-fi aspect of it, I don't know. Like it could be like the same reason why I didn't think much of Station 11. Some people it was like it's a strong, strange brew, and it's for some people, and it's not for others. And
yeah.
But like, I guess I can't fucking adjust a list for what I think people are going to think of it.
No.
Can you?
No, you know our tastes, right? Audience?
Bad, terrible, reprehensible.
No, I'm saying, you know what flavors we like. You probably like those flavors too if you're like us. So, or if you're not like us in a lot of those flavors, you won't like it. So don't check it out. But
I will say, if you're one of the ones who've held off on Apple TV Plus, boy, I'd give it a shot. I'd get one of them free month trials and get through For All Mankind, Foundation, Mythic Quest. Fucking
it's been fun.
Ted Lasso,
for sure.
It's like, they're doing a lot of. I think they're gonna have a couple. They're gonna have a couple comedies in the top 5, and they got a couple dramas in the top 5 of Bald Move. That's got to count for something. They're definitely ones like if Netflix is losing its luster, drop them and pick up Amazon or Apple, because they're really knocking it out of the park.
Yeah.
Okay, I think, like I said, these final things might change with Jim and I doing some more thought. We'll see how we feel about that when we do I guess we'll probably do a final round of deliberations.
Yeah.
All right. do we want to try to get through comedy? I've got
I
another.
don't think I have time.
Okay, because I said I've got like 23 more minutes, but I know you might not, so we'll
Yeah,
just
I
leave it
think
there then.
dinner is being made. So
We'll see you on the next deliberation, everybody.